Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom. Hey, it's a new moon. You know, these are beautiful times that we're living in, and Esau is being exposed at every corner. You know, showing you that showing the times that we're in. This is continuing off from yesterday. You know, after I finished the lesson, I asked the Chat GPT, just a couple of more questions. Going into Esau's track record, and basically after I ended it off, it just is just taking off from yesterday. Esau's coups and overthrows of government and installing his own, leaders that he's approved, installing puppet leaders and whatnot. So this is, I asked the chat, what did the U.S. gain from these? And it says the United States staged or supported coups in various countries for strategic, economic, and ideological reasons. And here's a breakdown of what the U.S. gained or sought to gain from these interventions. And before I get into that, I'm going to read a couple of scriptures. This is Psalms chapter 17 and verse 13. Arise, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which the wicked is Esau Edom. It's a not just one person, it's a particular nation that has been given this label as the wicked. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. Malachi 1, or that's Job 9 and 24, but Malachi 1 and 4. Edom shall be known as the border of wickedness, meaning wherever they go, wickedness follows. And so again, arise, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So the sword of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He's doing all this wickedness in the earth, yes, but Yahweh Shem Yahushai is using him on the left-hand side to carry all this out. To carry out this punishment that he's bringing. And also, Esau's blessing is the sword. So, verse 14, from men which are thy hand, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, for men of the world, carnal men, which have their portion in this life, whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. So they leave behind an inheritance of all the things that they've robbed throughout the earth for their children. Trust funds, whatever it may be. They leave behind something for their children. And their portion is in this life, in this world here, not in the kingdoms to come, because in the kingdom of heaven, and when it's here on the earth, they ain't gonna have shit. It's like Lazarus and the rich man. There's gonna be a great gulf fixed. They're gonna be in their rightful place. Now I'm gonna go to the next one. This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And who's the enemy? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And what is he known for? For his treachery, for being a cunning hunter. Here in the Americas, breaking every treaty, over 500 treaties that he's made with the so-called Native Americans, breaking every treaty, dealing deceitfully. This is what he's known for. So never trust thine enemy. Verse 11, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. So, hey, look, take heed of him. Look at what he's doing. Pay attention to him. Because this nigga, if he's trying to help you any kind of way, there's some kind of deception going on, that he's trying to get something. And whether he's trying to kill you, get something out of you, get your resources, whatever information, anything. This devil, if he's next to you, he wants something and it's for his own gain. It's not for your benefit. Verse 12, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. So what here? What the previous lesson, this lesson is going to. Set him not by you. Don't let him near you. He's got his own, he's supposed to have his own land over there in Edom, where Petra is today. That's where he's supposed to be, but he's all over the world, spreading his wickedness. So set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And what is it? What are we going into? Esau, Edom, overthrowing governments and setting up his own approved leaders so he can get what he wants. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So, this here, what it's going into. This devil is a devil. And what do you expect from a devil? I'll read the next verse. Verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bidden with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So who will pity a charmer that is bidden with a serpent, or any as such come nigh wild beasts? So you see a guy, the snake charmer. If he gets bit by that snake, you gonna feel bad for him? You're like, what the fuck you doing playing with the snake? You know it's a snake. You know what they do? They bite. They got venom. You playing with a wild animal. You playing with a bull. You playing with a tiger. Nigga, don't you know that can kill you? What are you doing playing with that thing? You sitting here playing with it like it's a little kitten. You know, like it's a little baby playing. So like it. But anyway, this is the point. This devil is a devil. So back, you know what? Let me see what else I have lined up. This is I'll start Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart, because yesterday I read verse 2. You know what? I'll read it. I'll read it at the top. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. You are greatly hated. Why? For no reason? Why y'all hate the white man? Look at everything that this nigga has fucking done. All around the world. Not just to the so-called black people, not to the Native Americans, to the Latin tribes. All around the world. Look what this nigga has done. So much so to the point that Yahushua said, if the days were not shortened, but for the elect's sake, there would be no flesh to save. So this nigga being in power, if the days were not cut short, if his rulership was not cut short, everyone would be dead under this nigga. Would you not hate that nigga? Nigga, everybody's gonna die because of you. Get the fuck out the way. And you stupid 2/3, I want to say nigga again. You stupid 2/3. Oh man, you fucking. Anyway, Obadiah 1 and verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So you puff it up against everybody. You're high up. You're living in your skyscrapers, your lofts, in lofty positions. You're high up, even high up economically, where we can never catch up with you and your economic system. And you say, who can bring me down? I've been ruling. Can't nobody touch me. Nothing. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And the symbolism of the eagle being high up. That's what this devil is. It's high up above everybody else. It's a proud bird. The symbol for the U.S. is that bald eagle, that proud-looking bird. Verse 5, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen so they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? So if robbers came, broke into your house, they're going to take what they can carry. You know, they're going to take your whole house. They're going to pick up your whole house and take it. They're going to take some little knickknacks, maybe the TV, maybe something like that. They're not going to clean out your whole house. If grape gatherers came, even here, going into the grape gathering, hey, you're supposed to leave some gleaning so people could come and glean. Those that are less fortunate could have something. Would they not leave some grapes? Wouldn't they leave like a little bit? Even if they missed a few, they would still leave something. But Esau, Edom, he takes everything. Verse 6, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? So going into Esau's greed, all this stuff, all the dirt about Esau, Edom is coming out now at his end. He's revealing who this man really is. So back to the, you know what? One more. Salakia. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So he transgresses by his doctrine, through democracy, through his ideologies, through feminism, all this toxic stuff. This is making people drunk. He doesn't keep at home. He has his own land back in where Petra is, in Edom. He's out here abroad. He's everywhere where he's not supposed to be. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as deaf. This man is as deaf. He is not satisfied with blood. Death is nothing to him. Just look at the interview from Palantir. From what is it? I can't remember his name. Alex Karp, one of them guys from Palantir, the nigga with the crazy hair. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So he's got in the world in debt, got in the world into slavery. Enslaved everyone, put everyone in a miserable situation. It was stolen land, removed landmarks, changed people's names, done everything that you could possibly do to be wicked. Now the people are rising up against him, and also that laden himself with thick clay, meaning heavy debts. Verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. So you're going to be for a spoil. These nations are going to rise up against you, and ultimately they're going to shoot their thermonuclear weapons on you. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. And I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna continue reading in the chat GPT. So this is it says number 1, containment of communism, which was BS. It says the Cold War strategy. The primary goal was to prevent the spread of communism, especially Soviet or Chinese influence. And the question was, what did the U.S. gain from all these coups and interventions and everything that is done? So what the U.S. gained was pro-Western anti-communist regimes that aligned with U.S. foreign policy. Iran in 1953 prevented a left-leaning government from possibly allying with the USSR, but this was about oil. They say it's about communism, but that was about oil. Guatemala, 1954, removed a reformist government accused of a communist sympathies. Indonesia, 1965, helped install Suharto, who massacred suspected communists. Chile, 1973, overthrew socialist Allende, installed pro-capitalist Pinochet. 2. Economic interests, especially oil resources and markets. The primary goal to protect U.S. corporate and economic access to foreign markets and natural resources. What the U.S. gained, access to oil, minerals, and favorable conditions for U.S. corporations. So this is all about them. Yeah, you want to nationalize your own government or nationalize your own oil wells? Well, too bad. We want it. Iran reversed oil nationalization. Western companies regained control of Iranian oil. So they wanted to nationalize their oil so they could make it come up, and then they said, nope, not happening. Guatemala protected United Fruit Company interests after land reform. So that was I believe that's where the term banana republic comes from. Basically, like they had these fruit companies, like banana companies or whatever, they'd hire militias. And they pretty much had death squads and all that. So protected United Fruit Company interests after land reform. So you can have some 30-cent bananas, you know. The Congo secured access to uranium, copper, and other resources via Mobutu. Chile ended nationalization of U.S.-owned copper mines and telecommunications. So basically, they wanted to get their own, these countries wanted to be able to do it on their own, and the U.S. says, nope, it's ours. Geopolitical control, bases, alliances of influence. Dang it. You know what? I think I'm done with the thing anyway, so I can just kind of move that down a little bit. It says, the geopolitical control, bases, alliances, influenced primary goal, establish military and political dominance in key regions. What the U.S. gained was military bases, naval access, and influence over regional politics. So he neither keep it at home. He's putting his military bases all over the world. So his examples: Philippines, South Korea, Thailand, long-term military bases, Greece, Turkey, strategic NATO positions near USSR, the Panama, control the Panama Canal until 1999, ensured shipping access. So all this stuff is for this whore's benefit. This great city. So everybody, he heapeth unto himself all people. He's making it to where everybody has to come to him. And he's doing it through unrighteous means. Left-handed means. It says, number 4, regime stability friendly to U.S. policy. So you want the regime stability, but in your favor. And how does he do that? By creating instability, creating the chaos, and then it'll eventually, they'll install somebody that's in their favor. This is the primary goal: replace unstable or independent-minded leaders with compliant ones. So you want somebody that's going to be on your side, a puppet, in other words. What the U.S. gained: predictable allies willing to support U.S. foreign policy. Examples is Vietnam in 1963, Diem removed for being unpopular and ineffective. Haiti supported Duvalier, and later coups to keep leftist movements down. Pakistan backed military leaders who cooperated with U.S. policy in South Asia. The U.S. or backed military leaders who cooperated with U.S. policy in South Asia. Okay. Number 5, the military-industrial complex profits. Primary goal: maintain global instability where U.S. arms sales and influence could grow. So you create supply and demand. You create a demand. We need weapons. They need weapons over there, whatever. You supply them. They gotta, whatever they're doing. We need to arm these rebel groups or whatever. We supply them. Then they go and do what you want. And then repeat the process. So, what the U.S. gained: arms sales, defense contracts, and rationale for a global military footprint. Examples: the Middle East ongoing instability helped justify U.S. military presence and weapons deals with allies. So all that war that you see, you hear another one. I hear the Apostle Gabar always bring out that all wars are bankers' wars. So all this stuff is just a money making machine. You just printing money. I used to hear that about the music industry. Back, I guess it was in the 80s, the 70s, or whatever. The music industry, this is just a money printing machine. It just makes money. So what the U.S. gained: arms sales, defense contracts, and rationale for a global military footprint. Oh yeah, I just read that. So Middle East ongoing instability helped justify U.S. military presence and weapons deals with allies. So all this stuff is, we need to be here. Look how unstable they are. Look what's going on over here. We need to be the world police. Meanwhile, you're the one, creating the crime. Latin America, U.S. trained and armed right-wing governments during the Cold War. So they're doing all kinds of wickedness all around the world. Number 6, intelligence networks and influence. The primary goal is to gain surveillance footholds and control over foreign intelligence services. So they're trying to infiltrate in everything. Nobody has any privacy. They're in everything. They want to see what everybody's doing, everything. What people are talking about, what they're doing. Okay, we can overthrow them now. We can throw them in prison. Look what they're talking about. They don't like us. They want to try to get their oil back. They want to try to, get their resources back. And so what the U.S. gained: cooperation with local security services and intelligence flow. It says Iran pre-1979, Savak worked with the CIA and Mossad. And that was through the puppet leader that they had got installed after, in 1953, and this was up until 1979. So in Latin America, the CIA involvement in Operation Condor, cross-border assassinations of leftists. They're doing all kinds of dirt. Short-term success, long-term blowback. So, hey, this title alone, what comes to mind for me is Esau selling his birthright in Genesis 25, and the blowback is in Genesis 27. So in Genesis 25, Esau sold his birthright for a quick fix. He was hungry. He was like, I'm going to die. What is my birthright? And it says he thought his birthright was contemptible. He thought about it as trash. So it was that short-term benefit, him filling his belly real quick, versus being blessed forever, having eternal life. Which is how Basham Yahushua set it up. It said the elder shall serve the younger. But this devil has that track record of he sold his birthright for a quick carnal fix, and now you're having long-term blowback. Because you're in rulership right now, but you're only going to be ruling for a short time, and that's it. The rest of the time you're going to be here, you're going to be in slavery. When Yahushua returns and coming shortly, you're going to go into slavery, in chains. You're going to get your ass beat. So this is a long-term blowback. Because that short term, you got a little pleasure. You got the whole world. Yeah, you got the fatness of the earth. But that's it. Now you're getting ready to face the blowback. It says, while the U.S. often gained short-term geopolitical or economic advantages, many of these coups led to authoritarian regimes, human rights abuses, civil wars, anti-American sentiment, e.g., example, Iran hostage crisis, 9/11, which that was an inside thing, rise of radicalism. So this has led to more things, and ultimately, all this, the blowback is going to lead to these nations, they hate you, and they're going to fire their arrows upon you and destroy you and burn you with fire. All that is this is going to lead to this place being destroyed. So I'm not going to read this little summary. I asked it another question. if they were fighting communism, how many democratically elected leaders were overthrown? And it says, excellent question, and it reveals one of the most hypocritical aspects of the U.S. Cold War foreign policy. While claiming to promote freedom and democracy, the U.S. often overthrew democratically elected leaders simply because they were left-leaning nationalists or not aligned with U.S. interests. So basically, they're not aligned with the U.S. interests, so they overthrew them. Even though what they say, oh, we got to fight communism, we got to fight the war on drugs, this or that, whatever it may be, it's really for their own self-interest when they're doing something. And it goes into a list of leaders. I'm not going to go through this for the interest of time. Although I did see, a few things here, like Greece, they're a part of NATO. Turkey is a part of NATO. And if you see this, Turkey is a member of NATO. U.S. is a member of NATO. And the idea of NATO is if one attacks us, they attack all of us. So also showing the hypocrisy here is what it says here, they've overthrown, so they've had many military coups aligned with U.S. and NATO interests. So showing that they're not aligned, they betray each other. And many times they've overthrown or had coups in Turkey where they had elected civilian governments, where they were showing that they were doing democracy, doing what America, says that it wants. But it's not enough. And even doing this to one of their fellow members. It's showing the hypocrisy. Here it is, we're part of the same group, same club, but you fucking, you being a fucking dick. That's just a few things. It says, key pattern, the U.S. tended to undermine or overthrow democratic leaders when they nationalized key industries, challenged U.S. business or military influence, maintained neutrality or relations with the Soviet bloc, promoted socialist or redistributive policies. So if they didn't do something that they liked, that they weren't, brown-nosing, so to say, and they got rid of them. Irony, while fighting communism under the banner of freedom and democracy, the U.S. frequently overthrew elected governments, installed or supported dictatorships, trained and armed death squads and secret police. This double standard led to decades of instability, human rights abuses, and resentment, and in many cases blowback, like it says in Iran's 1979, Nicaragua's Sandinista revolution, terrorism rooted in U.S.-backed regimes' brutality. So all these things, this is leading to blowback, and the ultimate blowback is them ICBMs. So I posted the scripture that I read earlier, Habakkuk 2 and verse 5, and I think I posted all the way. I posted what I read. I'm not going to read it again for time's sake, but I'm just going to post what it said. It says, this passage from Habakkuk 2 and 5, Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5 through 8, is a powerful prophetic indictment against a greedy, expansionist empire, and it aligns strikingly with the historical patterns we've discussed regarding the United States and other imperial powers. Let's break it down and apply the symbolism and context. So, going into verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. It's symbolic of doctrine, ideology, or corrupt influence, often tied to Babylon's intoxicating philosophy. So, going into the same thing, starting with the apostles have been saying, that wine, that doctrine, ideology. This place has been made, everybody's been made drunk by this whore. The proud man, a boastful, arrogant power, possibly symbolic of a dominant world empire. So they look at the Americans, they proud. Even they're stupid, even though their kingdom is crumbling, they're still proud. Neither keepeth at home, he does not stay within his own borders. This points to military invasions, foreign interventions, and overseas bases. The parallels, the U.S. global military presence its 800 plus military bases, regime change, and constant war footing fit this image perfectly. So that's showing you this devil is the sword. When you look up at 800 plus military bases and you go by country, ain't nobody close to that compared to the Babylon the Great. It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and it is as death and cannot be satisfied. This empire's greed is endless, consuming everything like the grave, as death. It brings destruction wherever it goes, economically, military, and culturally. It cannot be satisfied. No amount of conquest or resource control is enough. Parallels, U.S. foreign policy often expands even after victory. So even in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, never satisfied, always seeking more influence or wealth. So if you can't see who Esau Edom is, the so-called white man is, when lining up with the scriptures, hey, you just blind. You can't see it. Even this, the chat don't know what I'm talking about, but it's lining this up. This is who the scriptures are talking about. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. This is a global superpower drawing in people and nations under its influence or dominion, whether through military might, capitalism, or cultural dominance. So this is that horde, a parallel. U.S. hegemony over nations via globalization, the UN, NATO, IMF, cultural export, and mass immigration. And I'm going to stop it right here, and Lord willing, I can come back in a few hours and finish this. So Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom.